is back in the big leagues and over the moon.
Welcome to the landing strip with Nick Lynham and Mikey Garcia, presented by From Financial.
Welcome back to the landing strip. After the Winnipeg Jets lose to the St. Louis Blues, that is the 2025-2026 St. Louis Blues. And not only did they lose, they got absolutely fucking pounded. Absolutely pounded against the St. Louis Blues of 2025. You know what we're talking about? There was a lot of the miracle on Manitoba talk. The miracle in Manitoba is building a team so bad that not even Connor Hellebuyck could save them against the St. Louis Blues. What a night to start a podcast, Nick. You get to talk about the Winnipeg Jets after every game. I feel like a sucker right now. But I can't do this alone. Mikey, how are you doing, buddy?
We went from the miracle in Manitoba to misery in Missouri. That was that's a rough one, but there's only one way to start our shows now, apparently, so I'm going to hit it.
Don't stop thinking about tomorrow. Don't stop. We'll soon be here.
We are riding that tank into the ground, apparently. I've never listened to that song so much before this year. That's boy, that was a tough one to sit through, man. This game kind of broke me a little bit. I'm going to be honest. This one hurt.
I'm going to dive into the chat a little bit, and we'll get there. Over on Twitch, Choices TK says, is this team still too well constructed to stay below the playoff line? Asking for a friend. Connor Hellebuyck's not saving them this year. They are not built good enough. He just stopped 3 goals above expected.
Yep.
And they lost 1-0 to St. Louis.
Yeah. The 30th place St. Louis Blues. Yeah.
Justin L says, fucking shit show. I just want to sit here and laugh like an idiot. Like we're all idiots for being here. I love you all for being here. We're all idiots for spending 2.5 hours a night watching this hockey team right now. And with the
look, little peek behind the curtain. I've got a pretty gnarly flu at the moment, so I've been locked up at home the last few days trying to recover. I would take another week of these aches and pains and fever and all the other stuff as opposed to watching that hockey game ever again. Holy shit!
As Gordy Angus says, they didn't just lose; they got embarrassed.
Yep.
To the 2025-26 St. Louis Blues. Right from the opening puck drop, we went 9-1 in shots for the first 16 minutes or 13 and a half minutes.
13 and a half.
Of a game.
Yep.
And the shot number 2 was a Sandberg soft wrister in the chest.
Yep.
In the first period, actually all game, Logan Stanley probably was their driver of offense.
100%. He was their best offensive player tonight. No question. I'm not even being facetious. I'm not making a joke. He legitimately was their best offensive player all night. Right from the opening go. He was the only one ready to play this game, apparently.
It's so funny because I'm watching the YouTube here, and I'm going to dive into the YouTube comments here. But my first requested video on YouTube right now is Jets at Noon from today saying the slide can't continue. Are you sure?
That sounds like a challenge.
Everyone, as Matthew Hyman brought it up, I believe it was, saying, everyone remember that 4 days ago, that game versus the Caps? Me neither. We spent time talking about how that was their best game since the playoffs last year. And I think it's time to acknowledge with what's happened since, where we were trying to take like 10 minutes of the Sens games and the stretches that they got in those games, and we're like, you know what, there's some good here. There's a lot bad too. But this is a game I'll respect you no matter how you saw this one. It's safe to say they got the Washington Capitals' worst night.
Yeah.
There was nothing to be excited about that game with how they've looked since. And if you like free money, the Winnipeg Jets play Colorado on Friday night. There has never been a freer bet in the NHL. And NHL games are coin flips.
Yeah.
Friday night, like today, I've been pretty broken. I'm good. We're getting the tank here. I need it. As Kevin asked, where's the tank commander helmet? Maybe this Christmas I'm going to buy myself one for this show so we all have something to laugh about.
We're going to need it. We're going to all have to get
But to look this bad against St. Louis is a whole other level. And they got Colorado sitting there waiting.
Yeah.
The one opportunity or the most optimistic take I have coming out of this one is Friday's game might go so bad that it may break the Winnipeg Jets management group. It might. Right before Christmas, it might be the reality check. Because if that looked like that tonight, we might watch 2 hockey teams in 3 different tiers on Friday.
Yeah, not to mention you've got Utah right after that 2 days who are playing at least a little bit better lately. They could legitimately go 0-3 on this road trip real quickly.
I hope so. I honestly, watching that game, by 5 minutes left in the second, I turned to my brother. We had a little family dinner. Most exciting thing about the night, actually. Getting to hang out with the fam for a nice family dinner. And I turned to him with 5 minutes left in the second. And straight up said, I will be more miserable if they find a way to win this hockey game than lose it at this point.
Yep.
That is how bad this team was to watch tonight. Where it would have been a frustrating night if they won and actually gained a spot in the standings because of it. Unearned. I see Mackie leaving tonight says, Jets in 9. St. Louis even the series today. Made it 4-4 in convincing fashion. We also keep the home and away records going from that series.
Yep,
if I remember correctly.
Yep.
Barnes has a question for you. I'm curious on your perspective. Would we get banned from Canada Life Center bringing a hashtag fires Chevy sign? Do you think we would get banned?
The real answer is they wouldn't even let you through the door with it. If you somehow managed to sneak it in there, oh yeah, no, they're taking that from you for sure. They're much too they're much too soft to have that in the crowd.
Hey, they can't kick you out for starting a chant, my boy.
There you go.
They can't kick you out for using your voice.
Can't take your voice.
Mackey's at the point where he says he can't wait to watch the circus on Friday. I think that's where we're at.
Yep.
As emotional as it is right now, and I'm just trying to find a way to take this conversation. You know what? Let's give it to you, Mikey. I'm going to throw it into your plate. What is your big takeaway leaving the Jets versus St. Louis Blues tonight?
Oh, God. This game was, like I said, this one kind of broke me. This one was really painful to watch just because of when the game started today and during the pregame, the Sportsnet panel was talking and they had the Jets forward lineup up on the screen and they're taking a look going, look, the top 9 is returning, all from last season. This was a President's Trophy winning team. They've really figured out their third line now. They're on their way. They're ready to go. And I don't think that that's the compliment that they thought it was. Right? When you look at the way this team has played all year, when you look at the way that the games have gone, yeah, the fact that top 9 is all back is not a good thing. They lost the biggest piece from there that they never replaced whatsoever. They filled in with a bunch of boat anchors, and that was on display today. The Jets were a day late and a dollar short the entire game. Either they were behind the play, or when they weren't behind the play, they just weren't good enough to execute the play themselves. It was all around. Like they tried. There was not a lack of effort. Fucking even Gustav Nyquist was trying to do something out there today. They're not good enough as presently constructed. And I think that's so evident when you played the 30th place St. Louis Blues. It's not even like they got playoff Benny, shutting them down in a weird game where he goes Superman. It was fucking Joel Hofer again, blanking the Winnipeg Jets. That's become a bit of a habit now. It's embarrassing. It's an absolutely embarrassing game, and they're a day late and a dollar short the whole way through today.
Yeah, a few dollars short.
I want to
Against
jump
one
to
of the
Matt
worst
Rothman
hockey
real
teams
fast.
I've watched this year.
Yeah. Matt Rothman says we can't even use the injury excuse because who the fuck is injured now? Nobody. That's everybody. At the end of the last game, Scott Arniel said this is his ideal lineup. We have all the guys available that he wants playing in the games. This is it. These are your Winnipeg Jets. This isn't an aberration. This isn't, some ghost that's going to... No, these are them. This is the team. This is how they play. These are the results. And I think we need to start... I think we need to just accept that now.
Yeah, I'm being reminded. I forgot about this. Mike Friesen. Actually, they can kick you out for starting a chant. I know he's got a bit of a story there.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, I guess the big takeaway, I think at game 33, I think we've reached the acceptance stage, and this is just an emotional podcast after one of the worst, if not the worst, performances of the year. The blunt reality, this team is fucking cooked this year. And if you watch this game and didn't come away from that conclusion, I admire your kind little heart. I admire your optimism. We live in different realities, but I admire you. But the Winnipeg Jets are cooked. This team is not doing anything for you this year. To answer Al May's question, saying, what was Connor Hellebuyck's GSA X day? Was it 20? Sure felt like it
Pretty
at
damn
times.
Close.
Like, they got an MVP performance today and dropped the ball. And Matthew Hyman says, this is making me feel even worse about the franchise. Hey, the good news, if you want the optimism, the way the franchise is being run, they're going to get you a lottery pick. And lottery picks help teams turn things around. They didn't do it on purpose.
Nope.
But the decision makers are guiding you to the one. We've talked about being on the edge of the tank, and we've talked about being fully invested in the tank as we've gone deeper here. Guess what? It doesn't even matter if people don't want to tank because this team is not good.
No.
Not good to watch.
They're just not.
So we have to come here as a community, get together after every game. And this is one of those things. Tough times make tough men, make tough fans, women, children, especially the kids. The teenage fans right now are going to remember a year like this. And they're going to be like, it can't get any worse, can it? These are times we've got to come together as a community, vent together, laugh together, cry about our situation. But we will come out of this stronger together, hopefully.
Hopefully.
That's where the optimism is that no matter what happens, I get to be here with all of you discussing this shit show.
We get to have a group therapy
That's what it is
session.
at this point.
That's right. It's our group therapy to, come through, vent, and just let it all out. Because otherwise, if you don't laugh, you cry.
Just to add some context to the whole laughing if you can't cry, the Scout Look says, the worst President's Trophy winner follow-up is the 92-93 Rangers. 105 points to 79. Jets 116 points last year, so a 26-point drop would be 90 points. Yes, you have to air adjust, but they're on pace for the worst President's Trophy. Oh, they're not even getting to 90 points, brother.
Not at this pace.
Not even close. That would be a success. Well, that wouldn't be a success for what I want, but that would be a success for the org.
Yeah, that would take us away from getting that draft pick that we need.
Yeah. The YouTube comments have been coming in, so let's scroll back and see where people want to go with this one, because this could be a vent session today. This doesn't even have to be about this game. This could be about the state of this team going into Christmas.
Yep.
On Sunday, we'll let you guys know, win or lose. Sunday, we're going to do a little Christmas episode. We will do a very merry celebration together. We'll talk about what we want Santa to bring this team. We'll reflect on the good times and the bad. So Sunday, we'll try and bring some good vibes around Christmas. Because at Christmas this year, the Winnipeg Jets aren't bringing you success.
Nope, there's going to be some lumps of coal in the stocking this year.
Lumps of coal would be generous for Chevy at this point.
Yeah.
Hey, on that point, public radio exclusivity deals still pay off. Did you see that? There's a local radio station that says none of this blame could be on Kevin Shoveldale.
I can't imagine who that would be.
Nicholas at night says, I sleep well knowing that despite being an idiot for watching this team, hand up, I feel you too. There's definitely better ways we could be spending our finite time on this earth. But says, there are also bigger idiots behind the creation of this mess. Yeah. Arniel sounded dejected this year. I'm seeing the takes come out on social media, wanting a new coach. What did you see from Scott Arniel after postgame? What did you think of his lame adjustments in the game at this point, the lack of creativity? And where are you on Scotty's situation?
Yeah, he was dejected during the post-game comments. You could hear it in his voice. You could see it in his body language. He's just as, I think, broken by this game as we are. They asked him about the switch with Velarde and Iafallo. He essentially, I'm pretty sure he even physically waved his hand off with the question and said that it was just to trying to get a spark, trying to, go to something that's worked in the past and not to look too much into it. So there is absolutely no chance at all that this team is splitting up Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor at this point. It would have happened by now if they were actually legitimately looking at this as a real thing. They're not. They've talked about, the players have talked in the in the media about how they've tried everything under the sun. Arniel won't even bother bridging the question, whatsoever. It's not happening, and you can tell he's dejected. He's broken by it. He said again this was a game where they're giving up too many moments to the other team, and they haven't played a full 60-minute game. So it's he sees it. He sees it too. Like it's not insane. Every player that got interviews in the end of the game there was asked, do you think Connor Hellebuck kept you in this game towards the end? Which I'm surprised nobody reached across and strangled whoever that was, because no shit. What game were you watching? Absolutely, that's what happened. And you could just tell on Arnie's face he was not having it today.
So Matt Rothman says, I want Arniel gone, but until people realize Chevy is 100 times a bigger issue to this org, nothing will change. So I think I've made it a habit of protecting Scotty Arniel this year. I really do think outside making the move that we've pounded it for like a month or two. You're right. It's like kicking the dead dog. What do you do with it? No one's listening. No one's going to do it. The power of friendship, the power of loyalty, the power of keeping two people smiling over 23 matters most in Winnipeg.
Over 15 or 13,000 inside an arena. You know what I mean?
And I don't buy that he has the power to make that move. So like for me, I guess where I would go at him is the fringes of the roster. Like when I see Murat had asked him about Luke Schen's playing, who, by the way, was he on for the goal today? I can't remember. No, it was DeMello.
No,
DeMello got rinsed.
Yes.
Rinsed in the corner.
Oh no, that was the Hellebuck.
Another.
That was the Hellebuck pass to DeMello that got picked up.
Yeah, we got to talk about Dylan DeMello too. I thought this was actually everybody on D probably.
Everybody. This was Sandberg's worst game. Morrissey was shook. Nobody was good today.
No, the decor itself was altogether wrong. So I think hammering and wanting the firing of Scotty Arniel just for me is missing the forest through the trees. When you look at this roster, unless they do the one thing that I think he needs a sign off above him to do, where do you go with it? Like we talked about this in 3-on-3. You look at the options being put out there today, even like when the bottom 9 lines actually like carried the puck up into the zone and got zone time, they couldn't generate anything off the rush, anything off of possession, and they just got squeezed out. And St. Louis would come the other way. Yep. The best bottom 9 chance today came on a St. Louis turnover that I believe Stanley shoots towards the net and Lowry tips.
Yep.
The best chance from the team to tie it up comes from Gustav Nyquist, who might have had his moment of the season.
Yeah.
On that power penalty kill late.
Yep.
Finding the back door. And who's he finding back door? Luke Shen.
Luke Shen.
So here's where I would skewer Arniel a little bit. Because Murat had asked Scott Arniel what he's seen from Luke Shen and what his plan is for Luke Shen, who is only 2 5-on-5 goals away from getting doubled up since he came to Winnipeg, by the way.
Yep.
Quite the stat. You might not like underlings. How do we like our defensemen to get doubled up in goals? Because that's what Luke Shen's done since inexplicably paying a 2nd and 4th round pick for him. But Murat here. I had asked Scott Arniel what he's seen from Luke Shen and what his plan is for Luke Shen. Arniel said, I've talked to him. It's still game-to-game mode. Just see sometimes the opponent at home. You have to have a last change so you can look at things. There was some big body guys coming in. Their last couple of teams we played, we felt we needed his side and his toughness. Not the fighting part too, just the physicality side, the net front stuff. We'll go game to game here. He's going to be in St. Louis. And then there we'll kind of just play it out. What I expect from him is obviously first pass. Are you watching his first passes, Scotty?
Right.
Getting back for pucks. Are you watching him trying to skate, Scotty? And to be a deterrent. Who's deterred by Luke Shen in 2025? Let's be honest. This is like calling Logan Stanley the last 5 years a deterrent. No one is scared of these guys in the NHL.
No.
They feel sorry for them. Luke Shen gets in fights because the fighter on the other side feels sorry for him. That's all he got left in the tank.
Yeah, we get staged fights.
Murat, the quote continues with, we need him to be a guy that other people don't want to go near his side of the ice. At the end of the day, he does a lot of good things for us. And so just keeping up on that. If you pull up the shot chart map of Luke Shen, guess whose side of the ice all the shots come from? Guess whose side of the ice teams are attacking them for? Guess whose physicality is not making a difference? It's stuff like that. I think we could skewer Scotty Arniel, especially with a guy like Elias Salmonson in the system who could be doing something with those minutes. At the end of the day, though, those decisions aren't tipping the Winnipeg Jets into a better spot. They're the fringes of the roster,
yep.
And how you handle it.
Yep.
But if you want to skewer Scotty on that stuff, I think you're more than right to. If you want to be frustrated watching Luke Shen, I sure am.
Mm-hmm.
You could skewer him for that. I don't think we're watching a coach that should be canned because, you know what? You know how I'd say? We had a question at the end of the show about, what was it? If Taves retired on them, what would be the most embarrassing moment for the Winnipeg Jets? You know what I truly think is if they fired Scotty Arniel, which they won't. We know this org doesn't fire people.
Yeah.
I think it would be more cowardly than not firing Paul Maurice 2 years too late.
Yeah.
Because the problem is above them. And they learned all the wrong lessons from why they were successful and why they weren't. I think Mike Friesen had an interesting takeaway the other day when we were chatting. Mike, I hope you don't mind. Where he was wondering, and I think there's some validity to it. We know the Jets bid on Nick Ehlers. We know that Ehlers was going to leave. We talked about that. We've beat that up. But I think Mike made an interesting observation where he's not so convinced that the organization would have seen that as a net negative, and they were excited to get some more South-North veteran hockey players that could fit within a system, and you know what they're going to do. And I buy that.
Yeah.
And it fundamentally misunderstood why the Jets were competitive.
Yep.
On every level.
100%. They've never really been able to identify the things that have been going well. They've kind of backed into success a few times, you know, whether it's trades that have been forced by people requesting out, whether it's injuries making the lineup better. They've kind of fallen backwards into a lot of the better things that have happened to them. And the times where they've been the ones to try to actively do a thing, we end up with multiple Matt Hendricks. We end up with Jonathan Taves and Nyquist and Pearson. And it just... They've been able to do some reactionary things well. We've talked about them in the past, the couple instances that's happened. But any time that they've been the ones to try to put it together, they don't know how to do it because they don't have anybody with that experience. They tout Taves' experience. Oh, Taves' experience. What about management experience? I will die on this fucking hill. You can harp all day long on, oh, we needed more veteran playoff experience in the locker room. What about management? What about building a winner that way?
Oh, I like it, Mikey. I like you going there continually. Jelly DP has a different approach on Arniel, saying Arnie staying for the tank would honestly be the best move for the franchise forward. As Dr. Strange said, we're in the end game now.
Well, it's true. We only have 14 million and one ways to make the playoffs now. So, yeah, that's right.
Pomerlane says, oh, and the Blues were without 5 of their regulars. So for all the folks saying the Jets were struggling due to injuries.
Yep. And again, backup. Joel Hofer is the one that put it up on the Jets again today.
What did he have to do? What did he have to do to stop the Winnipeg Jets?
Hang out. I think there was one goal mouth scramble. I think that was about it. Like it was easy work for him tonight.
Ah, brother. I will say, you mentioned John Taves. You know where it's at? The nicest pass I saw him put onto someone's plate for a scoring chance was in the Winnipeg Jets' own zone. And I'm at the point, and this sucks, and this truly sucks, given who John Taves was, played game 1100 in the NHL today, given what his career meant, especially with Winnipeggers that followed it. The most memorable thing about John Taves in a Winnipeg Jets jersey is him losing his shit every time he takes a penalty.
He's real.
That is how I'm going to remember this era, this year.
Yep.
Do you remember the time Winnipeg signed John Taves? And all I'm going to remember is his face bitching at a ref.
Yep.
Every time he takes a penalty.
It's actually pretty funny. He's the look of indignation on his face every time is wonderful. I'm surprised they haven't pulled a couple of them back just from the glare.
Okay, and I do want to touch on this, and then we'll move into the From Financial Face-Off and talk a little bit more puck, because we've been bitching about all the things we've been bitching all year. Like, we all know it at this point.
Yeah.
But May says, we'll go through here, because I want to get to a couple of points here. Al Camino says, this team's window was 2018 to 2023, and Chevy blew it. Bingo.
Yep.
Very factual. May says, I want to rebuild. But if fans don't have the patience and loyalty to financially support a bad team, we can't even afford to rebuild. I'm going to push back on that one a little bit. And Pomerlane had said, where was it? About, where was it? There was something about the people talking about, like, you can't get talent to Winnipeg, and being done listening to that. So on this entire conversation, because I kind of lost it on social media tonight, but I am so done about hearing that it's so hard in Winnipeg as a crutch for a general manager, where this is an organization that paints themselves in such a box. They refuse or can't do the following things. They don't have the prospects to acquire the talent needed to make this a true contender. They don't have the market to attract said targets as a destination. They are not allowed to split up their only 2 scorers to try and better themselves. Everything must fit into this rigid structure, and nothing else must be considered. They cannot stop playing vets doubled up in goals since acquisition. They can't take shots at better, though still likely middling players that are younger on the waiver wire. A better team than the Jets got our boy Vlad for the decor. So spare me with the it's hard in Winnipeg's thing when the organizations themselves makes it harder on themselves with how they approach this. And like the blunt reality of this and this idea of wanting to avoid a bit rebuild, I totally get it. I'm going to paint a different picture here, and I'm going to continue sounding this alarm until it's more mainstream, it's more talked about, because it is a concerning spot the Winnipeg Jets find themselves. And I highly encourage, if you're not yet, to subscribe to The Athletic, because Murat had sat down with an NHL GM that pulled a retool without having to go into a big rebuild tomorrow. So make sure you read that, and really wrap your mind about where the Winnipeg Jets find themselves right now. But the true reason in my heart of hearts that I'm embracing a tank in December with 50-plus games left, outside of the performances we've seen, is because this team is toast over the long-term deals they've signed. And it's not just this year. They could retool the depth. They are too many core pieces away from a real run. And the way they operate as an org, we have 15 years of history to go back on. They're not getting out of this. They're not going to be decisive enough. They need a new vision. And here's what I'm going to say on the retool versus rebuild talk. The blunt reality in pro sports, you could sell wins, you could sell hope. You can't sell neither. And the Winnipeg Jets, if they continue going down this path and they don't make bold changes, will be selling neither for 7 years while these contracts expire so that they could retire the core that they're obsessed with. Nothing will come of it for this market and season ticket holders. That will be the only goal, because there is not, in this market, with the restrictions this markets have, there isn't a pathway out with where the organization has missed at the draft for the last, we've talked about 7 years?
Yep, 7.
There's none of that coming to save this. The free agent market's not coming to save this. The age of this team and finding more of a ceiling isn't coming, because we're talking about a core that's in their 30s. Where this goes, if you continue down this path, is a scary place for Winnipeg. And it's why I sound the alarm. As much as people think I just like to shit on the Winnipeg Jets, I'm scared for where this is going, if you ask me honestly. Because I don't trust them to sort this out. And we're seeing 13,000 already at games. That's the reality. You want to do that for another 7 years and tell people that this team's going to figure it out as they get older? They find themselves in the precarious spot with aging curves where there was supposed to be a limited window. Again, we haven't talked about the window this year because I don't believe in it.
No.
The reality that they're coming up against, and they need to realize, so that they don't become Calgary or Vancouver, because that'll be the death knell in Winnipeg when it comes to audience. They're going to have to get bold while these players have value, and they're going to have to do something uncomfortable to reset this. There's ways out. You don't have to go into a full-scale rebuild in Winnipeg, but each year that passes, the true assets they have that can speed things up or launch a new era in Winnipeg get older and older and less valuable. And if one starts falling into decline, guess what? This thing's even worse spots.
Yeah.
Think about this logically from sports, aging curves, how sports business works. The Winnipeg Jets, by not acting on and not being a seller this year, will continue putting themselves in a worse spot the longer this gets on. I know people are scared of it. I know people are obsessed with the names that they got here, and they got some real good talent. Guess what? They're not going to take it over. They're not going to go over the step from here. We are in the backwards portion of the franchise, and a lot of it has to do with how much they've missed at the draft and this idea that they just got to keep signing the same group and it's going to work at some point. Nik Ehlers was a core piece loss, and they were still 2 pieces short before Nik Ehlers left. How is this org? If you don't believe in what I'm saying, I need you to paint me a vision of how this org buys and builds around that core that everyone's obsessed with, that could reasonably compete with the Minnesota Wild now in a world where they're going to have Quinn Hughes, potentially long-term now, the way things are being talked about. In a world where Makar and McKinnon dominate the Central. In a world where Dallas isn't going anywhere anytime soon. In a world where Utah is a step ahead of them turning this thing around. In what world? Like, I'm willing to hear an optimistic take of how they square this circle. I don't see it. And that's where I'm at. How?
It's just not there. When you look at last season, They squandered career years from essentially all of their depth players because they weren't able to add the high-end talent that they needed at the deadline. You come into this season, you're having career years from all of your high-end core guys, your Scheifele, your Connors. You've got these guys going at over 100-point pace, and now you're going to squander that because you put together a depth team that's 104 years old. It just they don't know how to take this thing over. They don't know how to put it over. And like you said, you can sell wins and you can sell hope. You can't sell neither, and that's what they're getting right now. Scott Billick.
They're going to be trying.
Scott Billick asked on Twitter, "What are you supposed to do? You can't break up the top line because they're the only ones scoring." Yes, you can. That's the thing, right? If you're not going to try anything, to quote my favorite television show, "We've tried nothing and we're all out of ideas." That's the approach that they've taken at this point.
Hey, they haven't tried the big one. And Mike Friesen says, Kyle Connor showed true leadership when he said the players need to stop whining and look inward after signing his $12 million per year deal and playing exclusively with Scheifele and Velarde. I will say, I think this year we've protected Scheifele and Connor more than years past. At some point, especially after Connor's, and I give Connor credit. I feel like an idiot, but I give Connor credit for stepping out in the media and talking about the way he did, even though I think he's wrong. If he wants to grab a hold of this, and Mark Scheifele wants to grab a hold of this, at some point, they got to be willing to do the thing. At some point, you are paid $12 million starting next year. Mark Scheifele makes $8.5 million a year. You guys are wanting to be a part of the Olympic roster. And you're watching the franchise that has put that money in your pocket flounder while you focus on yourselves. At some point, we got to look there too, man.
Yeah.
And they've been great. This was probably their worst night on the year.
Yeah.
I thought they got embarrassed by the Robert Thomas line quite a few shifts. At some point, they got to look within at themselves. I know that they're putting the numbers up. Maybe, just maybe, there's a way that they can make a top two lines without them riding each other.
Look, if you think back to the old Jets when they first got back to Winnipeg, right, and we literally only had one line of NHL players, right, Little Lad and Wheeler. But the selling process at the time was, hey, look, we're building something here. We're getting our own draft picks. We're putting together an organization. Yeah, this is the only thing that's really, NHL quality is this one line, and it's going to be real rough some nights. But, hey, we're going to try to make it interesting as best they can. We're going to play those guys hard. And people were fine with it. People went. It was still exciting because you knew they were trying to build something. They were selling this vision of hope. They were selling this vision of, we're going to build it our way. We're going to build it the Jets way. I remember hearing so often over those first, 5 to 10 years, the Jets have their own draft list. The Jets have their own draft list. Don't worry about what TSN's top board says. Don't worry about what the experts say. The Jets know they've got their guys because they've got to do it the Winnipeg way. And we were like, yeah, all right, let's see what that is. People were willing to come and be a part of that. It's when you get into the spot where you're in now, where it's this no man's land, this absolute barren wasteland of results. If you had a team right now where you were playing the kids, they weren't getting wins, this was turning out to be a season where they're probably going to miss, but hey, they're getting NHL experience for their kids, they're working on different parts of the lineup, they're trying things out. Sure, you leave that top line together for some stretches, you get some padding stats for those guys, you try to win some games at home best you can, and you just let people know, hey, we're building towards something here. I think people can stomach that. It's when they tell us that, oh no, we're making the playoffs, we're still a contender, we're only one or two pieces away, while putting in an effort like this against a St. Louis Blues team, which is already fucking terrible, missing 5 starters, and then you've got their backup goalie in. I don't understand how they can insult your intelligence like that over and over, and you just keep taking it.
Yeah.
Jelly
D Bean 204 says, the team is better off now with the assets we currently have than when we inherited empty cupboards from Atlanta. A rebuild and rebrand would be exciting and work. They just got to be upfront about it.
Agree.
Eldon May says, just play the kids. Just play the kids. At this point,
what do you have to lose? What do you both playing the kids and breaking up the top line? What do you have to lose at this point? You're already not winning games. So why not try something else? Why not look towards that development? You're not winning. That's the thing. You're not winning.
I'm still going to lean on the fact that the kids that they want, people want called up, aren't good.
Yeah, but I'd still rather see that and have like I said, a sail of hope for the future, as opposed to watching the same, the same fourth line go out every game.
Brad Lambert and Nikita Chibrikov coming up might kill any bit of hope you have, if I'm being honest with you.
I'd rather on a fourth line. Who gives a shit? It's, you know what I mean? Like, at this point, it doesn't matter. You're not winning games.
Yeah. Let's move into the From Financial Faceoff on this night. Where are you at with the Winnipeg Jets? What's your From Financial Faceoff on this night?
Let's hit it. Right on.
Mikey, what is your From Financial Faceoff on this night?
All right, so like you could try to like break down individual things from the game itself. The first thing I thought of when I was watching was St. Louis was really good at getting in the lanes for the Jets passes. The Jets really like a low to high play from the D. When they're going, that's a play that works real well for them. St. Louis did a great job of breaking that up all fucking night, getting in the lanes and not giving the Jets the opportunity to really activate. So at first I was like, yeah, I'll go with that. But really, who gives a shit? They suck. The team sucks. This, as presently constructed, is not good. It's a broken jigsaw puzzle with pieces that don't fucking fit together. You've got 3 players on one line and then nothing else throughout the rest of the lineup. They lost to St. Louis. Big fat wet fart sound is essentially where I'm at.
Yeah, you've got.
I was gonna say, I think I have one of those over here on my stream deck. I think Vother put one of those on here. You gotta figure out how to use it again. But anyways, Aldon May does provide a fair rebuttal, saying that no, the kids aren't good, but the point isn't winning. We don't want playoffs. And this is where I agree, obviously. I worry about shooting those two in the foot the rest of their careers, looking how they do in the A. And this team's not going to win with the vets. It might be better off with the vets for the team tank.
Let the Moose go out and hopefully win a Calder Cup or something.
Yeah, let them stick there and get comfortable and get excited.
What? If that was going to be the path that they're going to take with it, talk about it. Make it out. Come out and say it. Be like, hey, look. We're not bringing up a lot of the kids outside of injury because we want them to grow as a group, win a championship together, learn what it means to be whatever. Give us something outside of, we really like Luke Schen's physicality and the way that he, makes other teams afraid of him.
Hey, question for you. Before or after the deadline, do we get the organization "We Are Sorry" fans post?
Oh, after.
It wasn't our year.
Oh, that's not coming until they're mathematically eliminated. That'll be you won't see it till then.
The From Financial Faceoff, though. Let's dive in the chat. And then I got one for the crew. Choices TK over on Twitch. The From Financial Faceoff. If you have the best goalie in the world but can't score a goal, can you win?
Nope.
Mike Friesen saying, the From Financial Faceoff. Is Nik getting even more fired up than he was after the Quebec girl took the monthly payouts after she won the lottery? I meant to bring it up that night when I first read it, and there was a game, and I forgot. Because if you would have seen me fired up that first day, I was so upset for her.
Yep.
But I'm even more upset. We got to fucking watch this shit.
Yeah.
Over on YouTube, looking at the From Financial Faceoff, starting with Kevin K. The Blues' third line of waiver pickup, 20-year-old rookie, and $5 million FA pickup outplayed every Jets line today. Pia Suter almost gets one, too. Pionk bails Helly out a little bit behind the crease.
Yep.
Scout Look points out Taves has the same stats as Appleton in 6 more games.
That's great. I can't wait for them to trade for Appleton.
T. Konapali is calling for freeing Bauer for some center ice excitement. T. Kona wants to watch Bauer continue on his trek to being the biggest CTE client in hockey history. Caitlin Doucette says, From Financial Faceoff, we bad. It might be just that simple.
Yeah.
Matt Rothman's from Financial Faceoff is Blues being battered to shit, had a backup in net, and still smoked our old ass team.
Oh, yep.
It wasn't even close tonight.
No.
Like, if I'm being completely honest with you, I came into today wanting to find some positives that we could talk about, that you could build on. And one guy I was looking at, especially after Arneil's comments, Arneil had some interesting comments about liking where Perfetti's game's going, and I know he's been a lightning rod. And I saw more of that today. So if we want to find some optimism, I do think Cole Perfetti is quietly figuring it out, winning a lot of battles, doing the small things. Maybe the offense comes. We'll see. Zero Ghost 8's from Financial Faceoff is, go look at Arnie's comments on the effort tonight posted on Twitch, in which those comments are, when asked about his team struggles these days based on being fragile or lacking confidence, he said, we've been kind of saying that for a while. That's part of your job. That's what you get paid for. Show up, do your job. Yeah, that's a coach that's got nothing left to say to his room at this point.
You can't get blood from a stone. What else is he supposed to do? Outside of the one change where we're like, hey, maybe this would be something. Even then, though, even if they say they split up Scheifele and Connor and put them on two different lines and you got two okay lines, does it change the season's outlook? Are they now a Stanley Cup contender? Not really.
No. Jets Pope does point out one thing that Rennie, from Kenny and Rennie, Sean Reynolds, pointed out was if you bring the kids up in this environment, it could tank their trade value and just make them hate playing here. Again, something I am kind of concerned about with, though I think Lambert just wants to play in the NHL no matter what.
Yep, he would like to play. And again, he was right.
I just don't think it's good for them, though. I really don't.
Yeah,
I don't think it's good for either of them.
At this point, yeah, it's hard to argue that this would be a good environment for development, which is tough when you're supposed to be a draft and develop team, huh?
I like you going there.
We keep forgetting that other half of the sentence. Hey, we're always like draft and develop, except only draft and never develop.
Yeah, no, I like you going there. Ticona Polly's from Financial Faceoff is team's not fragile, they're broken. Is that worse than fragile? Did they already break?
We might already be broken.
Pomerlane says the From Financial Faceoff is hell, he can be great, and he still can't save this team. And that might be the From Financial Faceoff on the outlook moving forward. The tank may be rolling through Winnipeg in a bigger way than I was getting nervous. I'll admit it. I'm pumping it. Hell, he does scare me. And then tonight happened, and I'm like, we might be there. We might be okay. They might have built such a bad hockey team
that not even Connor Hellebuyck can save it. You know what I mean? And we said that beforehand too. Before he came back, we said it. Look, it's not. He's not going to come in and save the day. The team's issues are so much deeper at the moment than just being a goaltender away.
The Scout Look says from Financial Faceoff is the team will look to buy some goodwill and do a Bufflin celebration. I would imagine maybe he comes back around the outdoor game next year.
I'm real curious if the relationship between Bufflin and the team is at a point where he wants to come back and do that, to be honest. I don't know. I'm not saying it isn't. I'm curious if it is there yet.
I think so.
Yeah? You think there's enough time has passed?
I think Buff honestly just wanted to get away from hockey. And then he went to host his skate there. So I don't know. We'll see.
It'll be interesting. I hope he does. I know the fans will fucking love it. I'd love it.
Yeah. Okay, so the From Financial Faceoff from me. Oh, there's one more from Al Camino saying the butterfly effect of Holloway and Broberg being injured last year in the playoffs, as he's convinced St. Louis would have beat the Winnipeg Jets in Game 7 with Holloway and Broberg, and what would that have meant? And I do wonder how the org would have approached things if they won a President's Trophy and then lost to the Blues in 7. How much did that change things?
I'm so jaded that I don't think it changes their calculation whatsoever. I'm going to be totally honest with you. I think they approach the offseason the exact same way.
You might be right. You might be right. For me, the From Financial Faceoff in this one didn't actually come from what happened on the ice. It came from what happened at the first intermission. Logan Stanley getting national headlines for his offensive development, though you could tell the panel does not watch much Winnipeg Jets games because they blew up on it. the fact that they were calling his defensive game drastically improved.
Yep.
So we know they're not watching fully, but they correctly highlight the confidence and offensive play he's played with. I thought his first period might have been the best might have been the best period I've ever watched him.
100% agree.
But a segment like that on Sportsnet, on a national broadcast, go get me a first-round pick, Kevin Shoveldayoff. The trade value is flying. The financial face-off is Logan Stanley getting some shine on the national broadcast to boost that perceived value.
I think that's
the biggest thing coming out of this game.
I think the only thing taking off is his AAV on that new contract he's about to ink with the Winnipeg Jets.
No. You can't. Okay, we got to talk about where the Jets are. They have to sell this year. They don't have to sell the big boys if they don't want to, but they have to sell this year. They have to recoup as much draft capital as they can to go find other bets. They have to. I don't care how obsessed they've been with him. It is dire elective duty if they pay Logan Stanley to cover and fill the least needed roster spot on Stanley Cup teams, which is a 6D man on the left side, instead of cashing it on this ship. It will be dire elective duty. I'll go that far with it.
No, I'm pretty sure that the zipper on the front of Chevy's pants burst off when they called him Chara during that segment. So now that boy's getting a brand new contract. Just wait and see. Give us a call, everybody. 1-204-800-0409. Let us know. Is Logan Stanley getting a new deal or is he getting traded?
Yeah. And Eldon to counter Al Camino says we beat them without Scheifele and Morrissey, and that's a much bigger loss than Broberg and Holloway.
Yep.
Tree G8 says that's because aside from the top line, everyone else sucks, so Stanley's getting the recognition. Hey, I just need them to boost his trade value, and I need this org to do something right because they are on a hell of a cold streak. Let me find my optimism in the places I can, because trading Logan Stanley for way more than he's worth is the most optimistic I can be about the next 3 months about the Winnipeg Jets leading into the trade deadline. That's where I can find my optimism.
I won't take that away from you before Christmas.
Ticona Pauly says, drove my Chevy in the levee, but the levee was dry. And the good old boys were drinking whiskey and wine. Right, saying this will be the day that I die.
Yeah.
Is this the day that the Winnipeg Jets core group dreams of a Stanley Cup died together?
It's like, and like you said, they had an opportunity to tweak the depth before the season coming in. You still would have had these career years out of Scheifele and Connor. You still could have had 100-plus point pace, 50-plus goal pace. You could have had Hellebuck playing out of his fucking mind to try to keep them into games. All you needed to do was tweak that depth coming in. All you needed to do was, if you weren't able to keep Nick Ehlers because the relationship had soured, you needed to still find some legitimate NHL scoring for your middle six, not a 104-year-old and his 202-year-old buddies. It just, I think we're kind of approaching that spot.
You know what? Outside of him actually carrying the offensive load today, and I was impressed with the spots he picked. If he wants to keep roving the rest of the year, that might be the most fun thing about watching the Winnipeg Jets is Stanley jumping in the rush. Which, if you told me that before the season, I would have thought you were mental. But Logan Stanley is also Team Tank with the dumbest thing I've seen all year at the end of this game to really put this one to bed. Absolutely unnecessary penalty, down one with 48 to go. I mean, it probably doesn't make a difference.
No.
But that is such a boneheaded play.
And I wonder if there's going to be a phone call in his future coming up from behind, cross-check to the back?
I can't see
You don't think so? Okay.
No. Man, Paris has only called 2 meetings this year.
Yeah, that's true. They've been pretty light on it.
Choices TK didn't want to listen to the optimism and says, sounds like the conversation that was had around Pionk on this show last year. And how did that turn out?
I tried so hard. I wanted that so bad. I wanted that Pionk trade so bad. or not trade. Sorry, just the letting him walk in free agency. I wanted it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sad times, brother. Sad times. Is there anything good you saw from the Winnipeg Jets today?
Not really. Half of the Sportsnet panel had Mark Scheifele on their Olympic team going into the game today. How do you feel at this point? Is he still making that team at the moment?
Reading the more national tea leaves, I don't.
Yep.
I think Celebrini gets there, and I think Tom Wilson gets there.
The Sportsnet. Did you see the panel when they did their picks?
I missed it.
So they had 10 consensus players that they all said were going to be there, and Celebrini and Wilson were both on everybody's list.
Okay.
Scheifele was on 2 of the lists, Jens and I can't remember who else, but he was on 2 of them and not on 2.
I think he's played well enough this year to be there. I just think where the conversation's kind of gone, I think I might be surprised.
Yep. I think, I've been going that I've been saying he's going to go the whole way through. I've been really on it since that pace has started. The way things are going right now, especially with the fact that they're getting embarrassed on national games like this. Harrison points out that all these teams are playing their backups against us, which is embarrassing. So teams know
we are that team.
Teams know to do that, right? NHL GMs talk. It's starting to feel like
I don't think that's a reflection on Scheifele though.
Well,
That's a reflection on everybody outside that line.
I just mean that the team itself isn't doing great. The vibes aren't there like they were last year. And if he's going to be sneaking on, it's got to be, his play has been fine. It's been good enough, I think. But to take a spot from somebody else, I think there also has to be some like real positive vibes that he's going to make, something better. And I don't know if the team doing poorly is going to help his case in getting there. And I had one other question for you on Team Canada.
Okay.
Who the fuck is playing goal? Who's going to put? Sorry,
Logan Thompson.
That's it. Yeah, I guess. Right.
Probably who I'd go.
There's nobody else.
I'm not starting Bennington this year. I don't give a shit about his history.
He's not even the best Canadian on his fucking Blues team. Never mind Team Canada. The fucking Hofer's playing better. He started 5 games in a row. Like it's like Benny's not playing well. Monty's out. He's hurt and playing like shit before that. I don't know who the fuck's going to be tending goal for Team Canada. Yeah, I guess it's going to be Logan Thompson.
How about this? So there's a lot of talk, at least in the mainstream. I don't think we necessarily bought it, about the Winnipeg Jets having the best center depth, or one of the best center depths in the NHL. How about this? Vlad Nemestikov has a point in 1 game since November 1st. Jonathan Taves has a point in 3 games since November 1st. Adam Lowry has a point in 3 games since November 1st. Is that good from the guts of the Winnipeg Jets team up the middle? And do you see that changing? I'll ask you this, actually. Does Vlad Nemestikov get another point in the year of 2025?
In the next 2 games? No, he closes out the year point without it. He's not getting one against Colorado. I'm going to be shocked if anybody picks up points against Colorado. Maybe they get 1 goal off the top line when the Avs stop playing. But, yeah, no, he's not getting a point against Colorado or against Utah. That line doesn't work. That line just doesn't work. I don't understand how – sorry. I won't harp on it again. That line just doesn't work. Those 3 guys don't play well together.
And Grant Banks says, I don't know how they could say we had the best center depth when last year we were still down a strong 2C, and they bet on a guy that hadn't played hockey in 2+ years and hadn't been a 2C in 5 years.
Yep.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy talk.
It's insane.
On the Canada goalie stuff, the chat ain't too happy with us. Barton says DeBar and Cassidy hate Thompson, which is why he was left off Four Nations.
Yep.
Four Nations. It sounds like, based on listening to Friedman, things have changed in that regard. There's been conversations with Logan Thompson, and I guess the crux of it was he going to be okay not playing games, and how would his attitude handle that, based on everything I've kind of listened to. Jets Pope also says Logan Thompson won't make the team. You heard it here first. And Barton says no chance in hell.
Then who is it going to be, guys? Let me know in the chat or give us a call. Who the hell is it going to be? Because it's not Binnington. It's not Monty.
Oh, Binnington will be there.
Oh God, he's not even the best Canadian on his own team. I don't know. It makes no fucking sense.
Palmer Lane's 3 are Thompson, Wedgwood, and VI. I don't know who VI stands for.
VI. Not sure. Let us know.
Let's look at this, guys. Logan Thompson is the best goalie in the NHL by goals saved above expected this year. Binnington's one of the worst. Kemper's in that combo, but he just got hurt apparently, according to the chat.
Yep.
Blackwood or who's the other one in Colorado right now? I would be taking one of the 2 Colorado goalies, Thompson, and I guess the psycho Binnington.
Wedgwood.
Yeah, Wedgwood or Blackwood. Yep. I think one of those 2 makes sense. You have to take Logan Thompson. Let's get over the petty shit behind the scenes. He's got to be your starter. Mike Friesen says Vlad is still really cool, but no, he won't get another point in 2025. Jets Pope says it will be Binnington starting game 1. Team Canada roster politics have been a problem for a long time, costing us. Look at our juniors. Barnt says Blackwood or Kemper or Wedgwood, maybe. I could see 2 of those guys being on the team. Parmaline said typo that should have been Binnington on top of Thompson and Wedgwood. I think those are the 3 they go with. If Kemper's healthy, he's in there. That's where I'm at.
Yep. That's going to be interesting. What used to be such a strength for Team Canada is now a massive fucking question mark.
I wonder when that Barton says, I'm over the petty shit. Talk to DeBoer and Cassidy. Okay, I'll get him on the line.
Yeah, we'll give him a call.
Get him on. As soon as I finish up this show, I'm going to let him know. Fuck, where was I going to go with that? When is Canada going to recover in the goaltending conversation?
We're not developing goalies anymore. Is the issue. Everybody wants to play forward. Everybody wants to be a skater. They're not putting the money into developing goalies. At least that's what it kind of feels like.
It's not even just that. I think that's part of it. Like everyone wanting to be the Crosby, right?
Yep.
But I was listening to, and I think it was Woodley that was talking about this point. Maybe it was, I think it was Woodley. What he had been hearing from goaltending coaches and people wanting to develop goaltenders is that Hockey Canada has just never advanced in the progression of understanding the position. Like they're still coaching it like they were 20 years ago. That our best and brightest that want to work with goaltenders go down to the States to try and learn and try and bring that knowledge up. And that's concerning.
Yep. Especially when it's Connor Hellebuck that's going to be staring you down on the other side.
Yeah. And as Matt Rothman says, they need more Bobby Loos.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Barton says there are a shit ton of good Canadian goalies in junior and college ranks right now. See, I always hear that. And then they make it to the pros. And then I'm wondering if they were really good after all.
Yep.
Jets Pope does ask the big question, though. Will we even get an Olympics? Will the arena be ready? Are you confident that they're going to be playing at the Olympics?
I think so. I think they're going to get it done. It's not going to be great. They're again, you want to talk about being short, the icy issues there, but yeah, I do think they're going to get it mostly okay to the point where they'll host the games. It would be such a massive failure all around for them not to, and the IOC is going to make sure that they can continue to be such a terrible, horrible, human rights abusing organization. So yeah, no, we'll make sure that they go.
Yeah, that corrupt org. I imagine they still get it done.
Yeah.
Until they're canceled, for me, they're on. Especially with you hear how vocal the top stars are about this. I don't think the PA is going to give easy on this one.
No, the players want to go. The players want to play at the Olympics. They want that, shot at the gold medal. That shit is it's interesting because it's such a infrequent tournament, right? It's not every year. It gets a lot of prestige from the history and all that. It especially for guys who, maybe haven't won a Stanley Cup, who haven't been in that super deep playoff run. It's an opportunity to kind of really go out there and make your stake. So yeah, the players want to go real bad.
Grant Bancroft is looking to save our Canadian goalie problem, says, I'll raise my kids to be goalies. Give it 25 years and we'll be back.
Thank you, sir.
Choices TK also says U.S. coaches the Hellebuck style now. Very technical. Also been a major focus. They wanted to have half the top goaltenders in the league set that as a goal. Also, that's a pretty interesting goal from Hockey USA.
Yeah.
The Scout Look also reminds us that we didn't even get to it the last time with the Canada versus U.S. in the gold medal games, and I did notice that when I listened back.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to go to it right now. The last time Canada beat U.S. in the gold medal game at the World Junior Championships was 1997. 4 times since, U.S. has beat Canada in the World for gold, or World Juniors for gold. That stunned me when he sent that my way.
Yeah, the wins that we've had against the States since that time have all been either early round or semis or whatever. It's anytime we've hit them in the finals, they've taken us out. It's rough.
On the goalie talk, Bart says all the tennies on the juniors teams are very highly touted, but you're right, they need to perform in the big leagues. TK Napoli says World Juniors have a couple of young tenders this year. Maybe strength of the team with Ravensburg. For me, a goalie prospect doesn't exist until I see it in pro.
Yep.
And it feels like every year, big Canadian media is hyping up the Canadian junior goalies, and it just never goes anywhere. So I'll believe it when I see it. That's just where I stand with Hockey Canada and goaltenders.
Agreed.
Here's a question from Jets Pope, and then we'll get into the 3 stars and go on with our day after a ranty, ravey episode.
It's cathartic.
We're
getting it all out, you know?
It was cathartic. I feel better coming out of this one.
Me too.
I hope our audience does too. And if they do, they should subscribe, and send this episode to their Jets friends and families that need the cathartic response. You know what to do, folks. Jets Pope asks, so, if Shifes and Connor don't make their Olympics teams, will it pressure Chevy even more to try and salvage an already lost season and throw away more assets? What do you think of that question, Mikey?
No, I don't think it changes the equation for Chevy on how he's approaching the Jets season. Honestly, if they miss going to the Olympics, I think Connor's going for sure. I don't think there's going to be any question. Whether he plays or not, it'll be a different story, but I think for sure they're at least going to take him. The Scheifele one is still kind of 50-50 up in the air, and I'm worried that if Scheifele doesn't get taken, that we don't get a chip on the shoulder response, that we get a more sullen kind of response from him, as opposed to the fired up, I'm going to take out revenge on the world. I'm a little bit worried that in a already lost Jets season, that missing out on the Olympics may send Scheifele into a bit of a lackadaisical mode.
Hey, that'll be good for Team Tank.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't see how the conversations relate. I don't know. I'm having trouble connecting the dots. How if the hockey world told you your 2 star forwards aren't good enough and your team's sinking, why that would lead to a big swing.
Because we have to.
I don't square those. I can't square that circle.
We have to coddle them and make them feel better. So we have to get them a present, and that's more.
Not a chance.
That's more 35-year-old middle 6 players.
Not a chance. There's not a single ad. And I was stunned. I was listening to the PDO cast the other day, and there was a good convo on the Jets. And I was stunned to hear someone suggest that they should go add Kiefer Sherwood. The Winnipeg Jets should be avoiding all of those suggestions.
No, we're good. That's all right.
We're
it's a hard pass.
Let's go into the 3 stars.
Let's hit it
on this night, and we'll get out of here.
Right on.
Mikey, the Winnipeg Jets get throttled.
Yep.
By the St. Louis Blues. Who's your 3 stars on this?
3rd star, easy, no question. The only offensive weapon for the Winnipeg Jets tonight. He's 6'7". He's the man. Number 64, Logan Stanley. Golgan Stanley didn't get the goal tonight, but that's my 3rd star. He's fun to start roaming around there in a lost season. Fuck it, get out there, big man. 2nd star, number 37, Connor Hellebuck. Only Jet who really was there throughout the entire game, start to finish. And kept them from, losing 5-0. So, hey, that's, really impressive. And my number one star is 91. No, not number 91, Cole Perfetti, but Scott Arneal's 91-year-old mother. It's her birthday today, so happy birthday, Barb Arneal.
I do want to, Jets Pope did let us know what they kind of thought from that, so I want to present that as we usually try to do. It says, what I mean is that he promised them a winning culture, and I'll make them more upset, and he wants to avoid the core getting more and more frustrated with the direction. And says, anyways, I'm heading off to bed. Have a good night. Hey, good night, Jets Pope. I see what he's saying.
Yep.
If they prioritize those two's feelings over what's best for the franchise even more than they already do, Jesus Christ. Ticona Pauly's 3 stars are Stan, Helly, and Robert Thomas. Al Camino says, maybe that failed junior B goalie with the podcast has the answer. Is that thing still going? Anyways, 3 stars. I'm a little petty on this night myself, I guess. 3 stars. Mikey, you showing up on a flu day and putting together a cathartic night for the audience and Winnipeg Jets fans. The 2nd star on this night, my dog, Leslie, hasn't been barking during the show for the first time in a couple episodes.
What a good boy.
Been a great boy over here tonight. And the 1st star is the Winnipeg Jets tank. Keeps rolling as they get embarrassed by the St. Louis Blues. And maybe the tank will save this franchise because I have no faith that the decision makers will.
Yep.
Thank you all for tuning in on this night and being here as we vented, raved, laughed, nearly cried, laughed a lot about our own misery, and talked about this hockey team, if you could call it that right now. We will be back. It's now Friday after a game where everyone should get their snacks, settle in, and have the Colorado Avalanche truly break them in a way we haven't been broken in a few years. Good night, y'all.
Good night, everybody.